To begin your lighthouse project, you can use some of the examples on the smartboard to help you. Using just basic shapes, we're going to build our own lighthouse inspired by lighthouses in Door County, Wisconsin. So I am starting using my ruler and I'm going to make a shape, a rectangle shape. And when I'm looking to see how big that is, it's about the size of my hand. And I have space all the way around it so that I can add the other parts of my picture. I'm going to add a trapezoid shape at the bottom. And you can use your ruler, or if you just want to draw, you can. Erasing is not a bad thing if you make oopsies. I'm going to add a curved dome at the top. And a lighthouse has to have a window or a spot where that light's coming out to help the boaters. I'm going to make a little railing in front of my window so that people could walk around my lighthouse. Maybe I'll add a couple more lines of detail at the top, maybe a stripe at the bottom. I need a door so people can travel inside the lighthouse. Now it looks like it's kind of floating in the middle of my paper. So I'm going to draw that piece of land that my lighthouse is sitting on. So that land could be wobbly because dirt and ground and grass is. I'm going to have that kind of go off the bottom of the paper. So I have land. Now I need water around my lighthouse. And then somewhere up at the distance, I need to separate the water and the sky. So I'm looking for sky, water, land. Way off in the distance on that edge of the water, we might see things like trees or grass or maybe little buildings of a city, super tiny because they're so far away. This part's the water. You can add things in your water, buoys or boats. If you want the land that the lighthouse is sitting on to have trees or shrubs or grass or rocks or a road that people could drive or walk on to get into the lighthouse. Those are all extra details you can add. When you are done, have a teacher check it. We're checking that there's land, water, and sky. Then we're going to carefully outline everything with that black Sharpie, every pencil line you made. I went ahead and did that already and have a outlined lighthouse. Before we start the painting, something to make our artwork look nice and neat is we're gonna erase any pencil lines that we missed. I'm not a perfect outliner, you might not be either. I'm looking, I think I got all of them. Now I'm ready for the watercolor paint. Watercolors are tricky because they tend to spread. So I've got a couple of things to help you do your best, nicest, neat work. I've got my water cup. The first thing I'm actually gonna paint is the light coming from the lighthouse. So with a yellow or an orange or even both. We didn't draw this on. So it's important that we do this first so we don't forget. We're gonna have light coming from the lighthouse. That light is going to be shining to help the boaters. Kind of shines at a diagonal line and it goes right off the edge of the paper and a diagonal line down. That looks like a giant trapezoid right here laying on its side. We're going to fill that in. Watercolors, we need water to make them spread. If you want your lighthouse to be shining both directions, you can do that both ways as well. That's up to you. I'm gonna add a little bit of orange. My painting is wet, so the orange and the yellow are mixing together really nicely. That's a choice if you want to mix and blend colors together. All right, watercolors are wet. So if I try to paint right next door, they're probably gonna spread together. So I'm going to jump to a spot that is dry and doesn't have wet paintings around it. And I am gonna paint that. So to help you have a successful watercolor paper painting, I would do that, kind of jump around spot to spot. You get to pick the colors. We will look at examples on the smartboard. You can have a sunny, bright sky. It could be dark out. But before you paint anything, I'd make sure the spot next to it is dry. This is getting pretty dry already. I might start the sky. Maybe it's gonna be a bright blue. Oops, Mrs. Cleary splattered. If you have accidents like that, just wipe them while they're wet. And when I paint, I will paint over those spots and you won't even see them. What I wanted to show you is if you want a darker paint, less water. If you want it lighter, I'm just gonna add water right on top of that while it's wet, and it's gonna mix and blend nicely. You can mix colors in different spots. Maybe my sky is gonna be a purplish blue. Scooch this down. I am mixing blue and purple right on top of each other when they're wet. Being careful as I get close to that yellow that my colors don't run together. When you are all done with your painting, it's gonna go in the drying rack. You might not finish on one art day, and that's okay, but check out the amazing examples on the smartboard for some inspiration in how you want yours to look.